Primos Honey. Stream the language.
Hey folks, it's Ruiz here again from Primos. You know, we've been going through this series from the very beginning of the very simplest things you have to learn from the gag reflex all the way up to where we are now, which is excited yelps or more aggressive yelps and cutting and what that means. And we have to ask ourselves again, how many times have we heard that in the woods and what does it mean when we do hear it? And in my mind, what I know happens, I always go back to the barnyard days. I had a buddy of mine, I didn't raise a lot of them, but I had a friend that had some chickens. And every time one of his hens would lay an egg, she would come off that nest and just be cackling, and man, she was going crazy. And I always thought something was getting his hens. So one day I watched him and I saw what the hen was doing, and whenever she laid an egg, she came out of the hen box, the egg box, she was just scratching around and cackling. She was all excited, and that rooster would go crazy. And I had to ask myself, does this happen in the turkey world? And it does. You know, we know through biologists and biology and the biology of the wild turkey that a hen turkey will lay a nest every day or every couple of days, and until she finishes laying those eggs, she will not set on that nest until she lays her last egg, and then she starts bringing those eggs to temperature. So when she lays an egg, she'll come off that nest and she's all excited trying to find the group of turkeys that she's looking for. And in the middle of the morning, she may come off that nest and start cutting and cackling and trying to find those turkeys, and she'll hear that turkey gobble and she'll march right to them. How many times as a hunter, where you've seen that you're in the woods and you're sitting there working a turkey and the turkey's gobbling, all of a sudden you hear a hen yelping to your right, and you look up and here she comes walking through the woods and you're yelping at her and she never pays attention to you, and she makes a beeline and goes straight to that gobbler, boom, and it's over. And that's what happens. He's letting her know where she's at, and she's letting him know where he's at, and they're trying to meet in the middle somewhere. Usually it's her going to him. So aggressive yelping and aggressive cutting is setting that scenario where it's letting that gobbler know, hey, I'm excited, I'm happy, everything's going on here, there's a party happening, you need to come see. A lot of times he'll just hold his ground and you'll just have to move a little bit closer. Don't be afraid to get up and move on turkeys especially when you're aggressive calling. Because if that turkey is in his strut zone or he's in a spot where he wants to be, it's his job to make you come to him. So get closer. If he keeps gobbling at you, keep making him gobble until you can get closer. And once you get in that comfort zone, he'll come in and investigate. One of the biggest things we struggle with as turkey hunters is being patient and waiting the turkey to make the next move. But let's go back to aggressive calling. Let's say aggressive yelps and clucks, or aggressive cutting, yelps and cutting together. This would be an aggressive yelp. It's more of a real raspy, real hard pushing the call to make that hen, she's trying to blast out in as much volume as she can to get that attention from a nearby gobbler or even another hen to say, hey, where are you? I'm over here, I want to hang out with you. And it kind of sounds like this. And she'll stop and she'll pause and she'll listen. She don't hear nothing. And you'll see them in the woods. They'll just stop. I've seen them stop and get finished yelping and turn that old head and they'll listen. And if you hear a gobble gobble, you'll see that hen, she'll take off and start walking. With aggressive yelping. I think one of the biggest mistakes people make is yelping too long. 5 to 7 notes, plenty long enough. And pause in between, because that turkey's gonna gobble in between those yelps. And sometimes he'll gobble before you're even done. So if you're doing aggressive calling, have some pauses in between so you can hear that turkey answer you back. Sometimes it won't be a gobbler that'll answer you back, it'll be a hen. I can't tell you how many times we've heard hens yelping in the woods and sat down and called that hen up, and guess who's following the hen? Old boss gobbler, and he never said a word. So you never know. But let's put some cutting with this aggressive, loud yelping and give it more of a realism aspect to why these hens are trying to do and what they're trying to do to find the rest of the flock. So you got yelping with some cutting as well. Aggressive yelping. She'll pause. Sometimes that gobbler won't gobble at that yelping, but you throw in that and it'll force him to shock gobble. And it's that cut that'll make him shock gobble. Sometimes you can cut at them and they won't gobble, but you yelp and cut at them and they'll gobble at it. It's the aggression that makes it happen. They like to be the loudest bird in the woods during the spring, so you get as loud as you can. Sometimes he'll get as loud as he's trying to be to let you know where he is. So, aggressive yelps and aggressive cuttings. Yelps and cutting together, sometimes it works great. But remember, pause in between so you can hear that turkey when he answers back.